Hi, good afternoon. And today, welcome to Child Care Challenges podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Alex. And Alex, go ahead.
How you doing?
Great.
My name is Alex. I'm a paraprofessional working out of the Bronx. I'll keep the public school uh, name out of it, basically, to keep.
No name of what organization you work for. No,
Got you, got
but
you.
we just think about what goes on. We don't need the name.
Okay, that's cool. Well, all the challenges I believe that the public schools, well, inner city public schools are facing. I believe it really starts with the parents because a lot of public schools are used as daycares, even with underfunding, shortage of staff, and crowded classrooms. If parents are involved from the start, you know what I mean. If they are there to back the teachers up and support, it really goes far. And I see the separation when I meet the parents. You have a kid he's not going to class, he's playing in the hallway. He's a quote unquote troubled kid. I don't believe in bad kids. You know what I mean? It's just the environment.
Yeah, but you said parent involvement and trouble kids. Do you as you say trouble kids? Do you guys at school have any program for children that like have special needs? Because even though when you say trouble kids, I have a daycare. And you said they run like daycare. So what it is, when we like in my daycare, when I have children who are challenged, I like to say challenged, who have challenges whether at home or just they was born with it or diagnosed with it. I have a calm corner.
Hmm.
I ask them how was their day. Do you guys get to know your kids, and do you guys get to interact with the children to find out how their day was in the morning? Because you when like a lot of kids go through so much at home
Yeah.
that when they come to school, that's the only safe haven for them. I could tell you based on my 16 years of experience as being a child care provider, right? A lot of them just come there and that's the peace they get being with
Yeah.
right? And the parent, I understand that a lot of parents have to work two, three, four jobs. A lot of parents are single parent household. And even those who are two parents households still have to work two jobs the way the economic is. It makes it hard, especially living in the Bronx. A one bedroom apartment probably costs over $1,000, and it's so expensive. So when the kids comes in trouble in the morning, how do you guys de-escalate those kids and reassure those kids that it's okay, this is a safe place?
Well, in the past, that was a little challenging. I
Mhm.
believe after COVID, they set up like mood meters in the morning. So it's like, the mood meter will have a variety of different expressions, different moods. And, they'll go around, the teachers and staff will do it too. And everybody will break down how they're feeling for the day in the morning.
Mhm.
And based off of that, we could, like, say if a kid's mood was super low and they didn't want to talk about it, we'd offer, guidance counselor, or we'll just, it will give us a heads up of how someone's feeling. But before that, it would be up to the student. Like certain students are more vocal and some aren't. Some, you won't know what's going on, or some they will act out, and so you get those negative behaviors. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Being a para, I'm kind of in the middle because, I'm assisting the teacher. So you get a a deeper relationship with the students, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I always bring it back to the parents because that's always the source, you know what I mean?
Right, because they're the first educator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not, I'm not trying to be hard on parents because I'm a parent myself.
Mhm. Because we have to be accountable. But I
Yeah,
wasn't saying that they're not the first educator and they're not responsible. What I was saying is that most of these children, like I have to tell you, for example, where I sit and I hear parents that call their kids some name that is unbelievable. I wish you were dead. I wish you were this. I wish
yeah.
I never had you. You're a
A lot
demon.
of trauma, a lot of trauma.
Trauma, exactly. They inflict on those children. And when they come to me, for example, I have to on trying to take those trauma off and reassure them and like, listen, you're not that. Even though DCF is involved in this case, but DCF, I'm not even going to talk about that. But what I'm saying is that I have to sit there and take those trauma off. And when they come here, they wanna hit, they wanna punch, they wanna fight. I have one of them, a 5-year-old, one of the siblings, hit me in
Mhm.
the face. I had to be like, okay,
Gotta go somewhere special. You know what I mean? Go to a special place. I know.
I'm gonna
I've
calm
been there.
down. I went to the car and I was like, okay, let me shake it for my timeout. And then I have to remember what she was going through. I have
Yeah.
when they call me on the phone, like, Miss T, this is what my mom's saying. Miss T, this is how my mom acts. And then, you unfortunately won't have that privilege for a child to call you and say, Mr. Alex, this is how my mom doing, right? So with a daycare, we have that one-on-one relationship with the school, right? Because in Connecticut, you allow 9 children and nine, but two staff is really, you get to still have that one-on-one attention.
Mhm.
That's the thing, though. I'm not saying not to hold parents accountable. What I'm saying is that the challenges that these children are facing of being peer pressured into having stuff peer pressured and not having enough. How many of these kids go to bed hungry? How many kids don't have proper clothing? How many of these children didn't get to take a shower last night?
Yeah, it's not easy. The schools are a reflection of the neighborhood as well. You know what I mean? And we didn't even get into what they're listening to, their music. Music is like it's being used in such a way that these kids are kind of brainwashed. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Because if you go into their playlist and you listen to what they a lot of them are looking up to the negative side of the music. Like when I talk about hip hop and stuff like that,
mhm.
they glorifying the negative. So the positive imagery that they see at school is a secondary thing. It's not a primary source in
Right.
their life.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? So I remember when I first started, I used to wear button ups. I wanted to model what the kids should expect,
mhm.
and that still stands in my head. But I noticed that when I dress down and you know, um, it's more relatable to them. You know what I mean?
Right. You get to their level of
Yeah,
comfort.
they soak it up more.
Right.
It's crazy, but it's true.
No,
Um,
you don't have that authoritative figure towards them. When you're more button up, it looks like, okay, he's stern. I can't go there.
yeah, you know what I mean.
No, you're saying I have that thing to say when I talk to a lot of teachers. I said sometimes we have to come down to these children level. Like I tell you, when the baby hit me in the face, I've never got hit by a kid, and she called me every name possible. She's 5 years old, and she
Mm.
knows every curse language. She have her brother that's 2 years old, and he just says the same. Right,
Yeah, they're hearing that from somebody
right, and that's what I'm telling you. Home. So when I tell you I'm holding kids accountable, parents accountable, yes, we are.
for sure, for sure. You know what I mean? The only reason I led with the parents first too, mainly is because it really doesn't matter where you come from or how bad your neighborhood is and stuff like that. If you want it done, it's gonna get done. You know what I mean? If you holding teachers accountable, if you showing up, you know what I mean? How's my baby doing? A lot of parents like when I have to make a phone call or interact with a parent,
Mhm.
I get psychological, right? I hit them with the good first. Never leave with the bad. Oh, your kid did this and this and then hell no. I'll say, yo, your kid was amazing. I won't even blow the kid up the first couple calls. The
Okay,
first couple calls from me is gonna be great. I
okay,
wait like a week or two, three, and before I give the bad, because then it'll stick to the ribs. I'll be like, oh damn, he gave me such good things about my kid. I gotta believe in that. So
okay.
that works, but not a lot of people understand that. So they'll leave with the bad, and some parents will let the phone just ring. You know what I mean? You won't get no engagement, no nothing. So you know what I mean? It starts from home. You know what I mean? Being understaffed in the schools. Morale is a big thing because a lot of teachers their morale is low. Like let's keep it real. Like
Okay,
I
and
hate to say
real
it, but it's true. We're human, right? But it's like
yeah, filtered. A lot of teachers are not doing what you're doing, and I like that. My husband and our children go to a Catholic school, right? And we would only get good calls, right? But then
mm,
when our son or our daughter is behind on their homework, right? We get texts, we get emails.
Yeah,
Then I know that it's a good call. But when I check my email, okay, Isaiah missed the homework today. Yeah.
yeah,
And that's how they do it. So that's a good idea. I never thought of it that way. So we know when the phone rings, all right, we're all excited. He's good
yeah.
today.
You're gonna pick it up. You're gonna want to know what's going on. And when you get the bad news, you're not gonna be mad. You're gonna
So,
be on board.
all right,
I'm on board with this person. Understand? It's true.
now I got to get back to my kids' school. Like, okay, so you just, okay, now that's just what you're doing. So I learned
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You know, little things.
Yeah, but like you said, a lot of teachers are not, they don't have the love like they used to for this job anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? And it's disheartening. You know, because no, but there's teachers that are fighting tooth and nail though. Like,
Mhm.
don't get it twisted. You know what it is? Negativity always rings louder.
Mhm.
So people hear the negative, but the good people, they're like the unsung heroes. They don't get the credit. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, there's amazing teachers, like really, really doing their thing, really trying. But again, like it's a group effort,
It is. It is.
being on a team of 5 players and you're one of 5, right? And
Mhm.
all you want to do is shoot the ball and you're not passing yourself. It's like, and you expect to win,
Right.
it's gonna take everyone. So,
Team. Right.
and I'm being on Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, I started, following kids that were graduating. Like, hey, take my Instagram, reach out whenever, whatever. And that was cool. It was nice, right?
Mhm.
Because you get the chance to see the kids go to high school and do their thing. But kids started reaching out, and having hard times. And you get to see the other side of, like, I found myself at a theater, right? And I get to see what's behind the curtain.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
So you get
Um,
that counselor, that big brother, that father figure, that uncle,
yeah. You
that
know,
one that they could look up to and like, okay, now we're not in class. Now I could talk to him. Now I could
yeah.
how
There
I
you go.
feel.
Yeah. And they were letting it go.
And they now could unpack. You become that one that they could just unpack everything with on
Definitely.
the rough that they had, how they trying, what they want to do. Okay. And when those kids reach out to you for having those challenges during the day, how do you handle it? How do you help them?
Well, at first I would give them like motivational, verbal motivation. It helps, but I realized that it didn't stick to the ribs. You know what I mean? So I started using like comedy, stuff like that, to grab attention, and then you know, kick my message out like that. That seems to work a lot because it I entertain and then I teach. You know what I mean? And I like to laugh, so it's all good. But a lot of kids would graduate and they didn't know how to read. You know what I mean? So you go into high school, you don't know how to read. You're illiterate. You're functioning illiterate. So for the girls, the pretty ones would just a guy would find them. They start dating somebody, and you see it. You'll see it. Oh, here's my boo, the pictures, and then the baby. You know what I mean? And so that was the route for girls who didn't have a direction that I've seen. And then the guys, they would be much worse because so what's a young black male that can't read gonna really do? You understand? With no direction. So it was like a pipeline to prison. I would see them playing the streets. You would see it. The tattoos would come. You know what I mean? The friends that you knew would disappear.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But they in the street though, so it's different. You know what I mean? It's different. I like locks. You know what I mean? But you got people out there that would give the whole thing a whole negative image. But and they would end up locked up, caught up, struggling bad, bad.
For those children that don't know how to read, right? And those one that reach out to you, I know in New York City they have a lot of program for kids, like they could go back, like the reading program. They once they graduate school, don't they have any resources that's available for those kids? Are there any resources that you give them? Like, okay, this is how you could do. Okay, I understand this is what's going on. So let's okay, getting pregnant is not the end of the day because I had a child in the teenage years, right? Hope is not all lost. This is how we can do, all right? This is what the resources is. This is where you can go for help. This is this direction. What direction do you point them into at that moment when you realize that, okay, you know what? They reach out to you. They don't know how to read. They don't know what to do. They feel like they lost and lost in the system. I had a young man on, well, we was talking about the prison pipeline where he's like, okay, if you didn't graduate, and that's the question, that's the thing I never thought about. For those that who do graduate and go to prison, what their options are. I know he said they could get their bachelor degree, they could get their associate degree in jail, but why go through that route? You
Right.
know, why? What's the resources to prevent that? What are the help the help? What are the organization? Where the funding coming from? Where do they allocate those funds for children that feel like they're being lost in the system? Where those funds go? Is there anything that they have aside for those kids?
Yeah, any help for them. You know what it is? A lot of fundings that were available or kind of taken away before, I mean, after COVID, and but they have a lot of fundings available now, but it's up to the individual to seek it. Like you can give someone the information, right? But it's up to them to go there and do it. And a lot of the kids that I interact with, they develop such bad habits. You know
Right.
what I mean? They expect handouts. And a system meant to keep you down,
The heck,
expecting a handout is dirty work. You know what I mean? It means you're gonna be spinning the wheel like you're in mud or something like that. There's no traction. And there's kids that they get pointed in the right direction and they do that. They get a job and they do the work. But you gotta do the work. Like, and if you've been playing for so many years, it's harder to get back on that horse. You know what I mean? And especially if you look like me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy. It's meant to keep you down. So
I,
unfortunately, a
I
lot of them make the mistakes.
Right. And I believe that the system is designed two ways, right? I understand what a lot of people say in the color factors and everything. I'm not saying systematic racism is not there. I'm not saying that. And I tell a lot of people that if you notice us from the Caribbean, when we come here, we're the same colors as everyone else. Us from the island or whether from as long as we're not inside America, right? That come looking like us, African, whatever. We come here, we own businesses, we have houses, we find a way to rise above the system, right? Even if we have to work 5, 6 jobs. And like you said, what it is the difference is American, right? That was born here. It's easier for them to go and get something than I do. Because if I try to go and get something, I have to prove that I'm a citizen. How long I've been here? Who sponsored me, right? How long did they sponsor me? Where that sponsor is? Then if the sponsor that sponsor me and they not provide for me, then that sponsor have to submit their paycheck where they live. They dive into our thing deeply. So what we intend to do, we intend to be like, you know what, this is too much. We can't go about it. Let us work. A lot of us in one house, we save, and then we try to get a house, and we go from there. We build, we construction building. I believe if they do that, with the Americans as well,
Mhm.
right? Instead of telling them that, you know what, you was born here, like you said, handout, right? I believe that it will change the shift because and then we'll see more homeowners, whether you're brown, yellow, green, whatever colors you are. I think you will see more homeowners, more people not relying on the system,
Yep.
right? More people want to work. That's why you find a lot of mostly Jamaican male that instead of relying on the system, they'll go out there and hustle. They'll go out there and do their little side hustling and get what they have to get because that's how the system is designed for us, immigrants, right? For immigrant, the system don't give it to you. And that's why if you look in New York and you look in the Bronx, you find more Hispanic, more immigrants are homeowners, more immigrants are the corner store, right? More of those things. Because they don't give it to us. But I think they need to implement that system all across the board. It will force those children to be like, listen, no, you're not going to get it that easy. Where's your parent? Okay, what your parent do? Bring your parent money. Bring your parent this. Okay, how you do? But it's the system, American system is designed. Okay, I have a baby. I'm American. I was born here. Here's my social security. Here's everything. I'm not working. Then here, I give it to you.
Yeah, that makes you entitled, makes you lazy.
Exactly. So do you think that if they put that across the board like they do for us immigrants, right? For the citizen, American citizen, would be easier? Would you think that that was shifted a little bit as far as
it's hard to tell because there's a lot of deep rooted bad habits for generations. You know what I mean?
Generation.
And y- yeah, you know what I mean. A lot of generational trauma, and in this country, it's easier. It's easier to control the foreigners than the citizens. Keep your citizens late. You know what I mean? Like the foreigners, if you do something silly or if you go too far, they can just send you back, right?
Mm-hmm.
A citizen, they could lock you up, but you're here. They got to deal with you here. So
It's easier to control the citizen than the foreigners. Because what we gonna do, we gonna make sure we not go across the borderline because we don't want to get back home, right? So
right,
the thing with us, we make sure that we trying to walk in the right path because we
and,
like, oh, you know, this
and,
is our country.
and y'all know what it's like to really, really struggle. So y'all ain't coming here playing no games anyway. We're kind of in disarray over here.
Right, right, right. So when we come here, we see all this. We like, okay, here it is. We have ideas start popping in our head. Like, okay, we could have this. We could do this. We could do that. We could have all of this. So that's the reason why when like I'm saying, if they implement the same system for everyone, like what? Show me what your parents did with a 15-year-old. Because like I said, I have a baby at an early age, a teenager, and I could not, even though my son was born here. I would not, they would not look at me and give me any assistance. What I did, I was working for $20 a week, babysitting, right?
Yeah,
17 working $20 a week. I used to work like 3, 4 jobs. Well, and then going to school. Because what? I'm like, I don't even know what welfare system is. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not doing that. And I worked my way. I worked. And of course, my son at the time before he passed at the young age and his dad, he will work and do it. So I'm like, he's like, nah, we didn't come here for this. Well, he was born here. He's like, nah, we're not doing this. Right? He
yeah,
was American. For me, and even though I was that young, I wouldn't get help, even though I was pregnant with his dad is American and my son would have been American. That system wasn't there in place for me because I'm an immigrant. So my point is, if they implement that same system, I understand American is that we have right, we pay tax dollars. I grow up and I pay a lot of tax dollars, right? I believe that if that system wasn't in place the way it was for us immigrants, a lot of us would be more dependable on the system than it is now. So I think that if they put that forward for everyone across the board, show me who you have to help you first before I help you.
hmm yeah. There wouldn't be so much people relying on a system that's with a handout.
Mhm.
It's true.
And then those children that you say now go back to the kids that you say that they can't read, right? And they have these babies. They know that, listen, okay, I have a kid. I know I'm going to get food stamp and I may get cash assistance. I could apply for Section 8. But yeah, I may be on the waiting list for a little bit. I could apply for housing. I could apply for all these stuff that they have that's given out, right? And if I apply for it, then I know I may, I know they have a system where they say every 6 months. I don't know how it goes, not every so often they have the recertification. They have to
Yeah.
reapply. But if I'm not working, then yeah, I'm good. If I tell them, and I believe that they made design with the system so bad. If I tell them the dad is not in the household, then guess what? Get more,
Yeah. More. Yeah.
right? And like you go back to where it said the system is designed to keep a lot of people down, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in. So how, if the system is designed those way, where it's designed to hold us, how do you see where our breakthrough for these young generation, for these young children that are coming up?
Well, for me, the only real hope is to get them while they're young, but the media has them in such a headlock.
Mhm.
That's easier said than done. You know what I mean? It's really easier said than done, and it takes a group effort. It really does because the scariest thing right now is the inside of a kid's phone. Unlock their phone and look at what they're going through from the age 8 and up.
Mhm.
Right? And I'm being generous with the age. You know, there's so many outside forces influencing them. If you don't got a handle on what they're consuming, you kind of lost. You know what I mean? Because it starts early. They're getting them early. Uh,
Mhm.
I'll keep it with just music, so we won't go too broad. But
Right.
because it's deep. It's a deep rabbit hole. You start going down the rabbit hole. It's deep. You know what I'm talking about? They find all kinds of ways to shape and mold your children.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay, now I get. Yeah.
Right. So if you're not paying attention, the battle's already lost. Your kid would leave your house, right, and be
Mhm.
a different kid outside, and then come home and be a different kid in your face. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mistakes that were made in the past that aren't fixed, that aren't corrected, and we're just limping along.
But how do your school, right, handle and you how do you guys handle these situations that when they come into school with all these challenges and all this other stuff that's going on with them when you guys know that okay the outside sources you guys know that okay you know what social media is deflecting them you guys know that peer pressures are on them they're dealing with all these trauma at home how do you give them that safe place to say, okay, this is what it is, just to unwind, let go.
Well, first of all, they take their phones away. That's the first battle, taking the phone, and that's easier said than done. But they have a no phone policy. The second battle is a no bully privacy. So that means like when kids send messages and stuff like that, as soon as someone reports that another kid is messaging about them or inappropriate messages, that's investigated immediately because you don't investigate that, it leads to a whole bunch of other things. It
Mhm,
builds really, really fast.
mhm,
And cyberbullying is like it's worse than actual bullying. You know what I mean?
mhm.
That's bullying on steroids. Uh, they work well with PAL and with my school. PAL comes in like every Friday, every Mondays, every Fridays, and they work with certain kids that are more trouble than others. You know what I mean? Try to like get a handle of them, like early kind of prevention kind of situation going on. And that's new in my school, and that's actually working.
Okay,
Because a lot of these guys are young officers, and
okay.
they have the energy.
And what PAL is, what is that?
A police athletic league, you
Uh,
know, you
right.
know. So then they have like staff members come in there. So there's people trying, you know what I mean, and but it's a slow process. I see positives though. I see positives, but it takes time. Nothing overnight, right?
Yeah. And then when those people are not in the school, like the panel is not in the school and stuff, how does you as a staff and the teachers handle all these stuff? Because the most, like you said, when social media show it, they don't show the good that kids are doing to the teachers. They most
Hmm.
show the negative that kids are doing to the teachers, and they show more about what the teachers are doing negatively to the student. Right? How do they handle it? How they handle burnt out days? The teachers when it's just an overwhelming days when kids are just rushing in and it's just to the point where, okay, I just want to pull my hair. How do they handle those? Do you guys have anything for those teachers? Because, yes, we talk about the kids. Let's dive into how you guys as a staff handle these stuff.
You know what? There's not much in place. Like it's kind of a sink or swim kind of situation. I've seen teachers cry, fall apart. You know what I mean? Me, I understand. I don't have those problems. Like I coach basketball, coach sports. When you're in that position, the kids like you because the popular kids want to be around you. The other kids watch the popular kids, so they kind of fall in line, and you become like this authoritative figure. That's also cool. So it kind of works in my favor, right? But from the other side of the coin, it's like say I'm a struggling teacher and I don't have good classroom management. You're
Hmm.
pretty much on your own. I'm gonna keep it 100 because they have the dean can come in and help you, or you can send the kids to the office. But whenever you do that, you relinquish some of your power, and that's what a lot of teachers don't understand. It's like you really want to stand firm from day one. Classroom management is a must. I don't care how good of a teacher you are. I don't care how charismatic you are. How well you can get your point across. If you can't manage a classroom and it starts from the beginning, you're going to have a long, stressful year because they're going to look at you like a friend or like someone they can walk over. No matter what you teach, it'll be hard to get your point across, to get the lesson across, because they'll be too busy having fun during your period. So if teachers can just understand that it's classroom management first, it's easier. You're always going to have a trouble kid, but then the main bulk, the main population of your classroom will be under control.
Okay, for those teachers that already dive in too deep with that classroom management. How do they gain back control of that?
Mm,
Feel like lost control of their class, right? They
mm,
feel okay, like you said, the first moment they have to be like, okay, this is what my rules are. This I'm going by my rules. This is how it is. How do they get that authoritative figure back?
oof, it's more of a persistence is key after that. You know, consistency, but
Hmm.
it's more of a struggle now. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? When because you're working backwards. So what I've seen from teachers who don't establish classroom management early, they put the effort in, but it's more of an effort now because now there's more pushback.
Hmm.
And you say if you're dealing with one kid who's giving you pushback, that one kid, if he has influence over the classroom, you know, now you have two, three kids. You know what I mean? It makes the job harder. And unfortunately, if you know the parents aren't involved with that student, and the dean can't get that student under check, on in check, or the school really can't get that student in line, you kind of go to school year with that kind of vibe. It sticks around. And I've seen first year teachers have rough classrooms the whole school year. And now that's when I say it's up to the parent because here you have your good kid who's sitting in the front of the classroom. The rest of the class is going nuts because the teacher didn't establish anything, right? Or is having a hard time. And your kid has to still learn. And there's kids that still learn under that environment. Why? Because they have parents that hold them accountable at home. Did you do your homework? Get to school on time. It's
Okay,
time to go to bed.
okay, I like
Up, come to school, have breakfast. They're doing their part. So even though the classroom is in disarray, this kid is still passing with an 80, 90. Then you have the flip side of the coin. You have the kid who's struggling, who would do better if the classroom was together. The parents do their part. That kid passes the class with a 70 when he should have got a 95.
right.
And then you have the kids all the way at the bottom who played all year, barely made it by. They went to summer school, right? They get to graduate, but they can barely read. And they go to high school, and their high school teacher expects them to understand the advanced version of what they played around in.
Isn't that the program that they have with the No Child Left Behind? You don't think see that program as a conflict where the teacher, I feel like, to me, I feel like by them implementing that program, the teachers lose control over really putting the education into those kids, into making sure that those kids are up to grade level. They be like, okay, you're not going to get left back anyway, so whatever, you know?
And the kids know that too, by the way. They know that.
Oh, really?
These kids are smart, man. These kids, they know that. They understand that.
Oh,
But parents speak about it out loud. You know what I mean? They understand that. So the system can be played. And I've seen it. That's how you get kids that graduate and can't read.
what do you think about No Child Left Behind program? I remember when we first moved to Connecticut, and my children was going to a public school. I don't know, you guys call it is it pre-K to fifth? That's the school. Is that elementary?
Elementary, yeah.
Okay. So they was in that school, and my daughters, our children, was above grade level. And I remember one of the teachers like, well, we can't put them above grade. We have to keep them back into the grade. We have to make them come down with their peer. What do you say about stuff like that? Because I remember going through, and I had to put my kids end up going to private school from there on. But how about those children like those where the public school system is saying, okay, we can't give you 100 even if you deserve 100. We can't push you hard, even though you deserve to be pushed hard. Because I experienced that, where they say the way the system is designed, we can't do this.
Nah, I agree. I feel if your kid is capable of handling the work, they should be moved on. Challenge them because I've seen kids that are super smart because they're not challenged. They'll do the work and they'll go to sleep, or they'll develop bad habits. They won't want to do the work, and you're thinking in your head, "Oh, this kid don't know how to do it." Meanwhile, they know how to do it. They're just bored. The work's super easy. I'd rather play. I'd rather, you know what I mean? And again, that goes back to the parents. What kind of parents does this child have? You know what I mean? Does he have the type of parents that will challenge them at home and say, you know what? Even though they're holding you back, you're going to go do this. You're going to go even harder. You're going to show them you can do it. Or does he have the parent that is just not as involved and is leaving it up to the kid? Whether he or she challenges themselves. It's always it's you know what I mean. It's so many different stories. There's so many different ways I can answer that.
Hmm.
But I feel as if your child is capable of stepping up to the next level, they should be allowed to, and vice versa. If your child isn't ready for the next level, they shouldn't be moved up because you're doing them a disservice. You're doing them a disservice. You shouldn't move a child on if they're not ready to. It's not fair to the next teacher. Here I am ready to teach algebra, full on algebra, and this kid was playing around during basic math. You know what I mean? And there's no way I would have to backtrack. And now I have kids in my classroom that are ready for the next level. It makes it harder for everyone. So, and I remember when I was younger, there was no, you know, if you didn't do it, you didn't graduate.
I know that's how it was when I got here. So,
That lit a fire in kids. I was afraid of that. I was afraid of being left back. I didn't play. Neither did my friends. You know what I mean? The ones who really played were the ones who really were lost. And I felt like it was fewer of them. But times change. But yeah, like if you're not ready to be moved on, you shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be
No,
right.
not at all.
You're right. If you, I believe that they should make sure. And now I know that well in Connecticut, I think they thinking about that testing. Like they I hear a lot of parents saying and teachers saying only test for kids. Take away all those tests that enter, in college and testing that they want to remove some of those tests and then focus more on the children, mental and emotional well-being instead of on their education level. I just think that's the wrong thing. I think they're gonna have a bunch of zombies walking around.
Yeah,
And if they remove all those, knowing how to read and filling out a basic application, a job application, a lot of children, and end up looking for job and don't know how to do it. I remember when my kids was in, like I said, elementary school, because for me, I started at 7 years old. My son is 7, and we went to the doctor, and they gave me the paper to fill out, and I turned to him. I said, "That's your job, right?" So they looked at me. They're like, "I said, I know he can't sign it, but he filled it out. I don't fill out application." And
hmm
I think if they start teach children how to fill out basic application at in second grade, they will learn, right?
yeah,
Prepare them for the real world. Because that's what I do with all my kids. I start at 7. I tell them, I said, listen, you can read? Yeah. You know what this said? Yeah. Okay. And I force them into read. My kids are real, thank God they're great, right? And people are surprised to know that a 7 year old could fill out an application, a job application at 7 years old. My son could fill it out, right? We go to the hospital, that medical assessment form. He knows how
mhm,
to fill it out. He knows how to read what it said. And I'm like, okay, do you have such condition? Like you said, it goes back to the parents. If parents would get those blank application and start teaching their children how to do that. I know they start taking away cursive in school. I know if they do it in New York City. I know public school here,
they
they don't
do.
do it anymore,
No,
right? Unless they go to a private school setting, then they will continue to do the cursive and all that stuff. But don't you think that they should implement some of those in the system, teach kids like the basic, like how to fill out an application?
yeah, the real life stuff. Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know, unfortunately, that's really needed. They got more practicality is needed in schools. You know what I mean? Things that kids are gonna go through in real life. You
Right,
know, you like filling out a job application. That could be really intimidating for someone who's never been taught how to do it.
right,
Some of these applications are thick.
exactly.
So yeah, it's the little things. It's true. And you have kids that sit in class and they're like, I'm not going to be a scientist. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. Why do I got to learn advanced math? You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you should learn that. It's good for you, but they question it.
When they question it, how do you guys handle it?
No, we tell them that say you're signing like if, when it, I had a kid question ELA. He was like, oh, I don't even read like that. I can get on the computer and Google anything I need to know and everything. We told him like, oh, you want to be able to open a book, right, and be able to read and decipher for yourself, and not have to use a secondary source. You know what I mean? Because what if that's taken away from you? Then what? You know what I mean? But if you have a big contract in your face and you actually have to read it, understand these words, you don't want to be handicapped. You know, so it's just little things like that. But
What I do with my kids, my daycare children, right? When they come here, and the other day I was picking up my children, and I bring them to a different, and I hear the little boy, the older one of the older boys, the children, they're fourth sibling, and the older brother was like, Miss T, I want to go to high school. Miss T, can you take me? Miss T, how do you do this for your kids, right? And because the school rejected him. The school saying that he's special needs, and I trying to implement that. Listen, you're not a part of the system. You don't have to be a part of the system. You're not who the system say you are. You're who you make yourself to be, right? And I print out. He's 11 years old. Let's call him Tommy. And when I print out second grade, first grade work for Tommy, right? Tommy looked at me and said, I don't know how to do this. And he's 11 going in 12. So
Yeah.
what do they just pass him along? He goes to school and he have bad habits. And the parents look at me and say, I don't know what you do, but my children has been so much different, so much better since coming into your care. But the difference I do, and like I said, I understand it's different because it's a one-on-one attention. And like you said before, assertiveness. Make that management, when they first come, I already lay my rules out.
Yeah.
Listen, not your house. This is not home. This is not in school. I am not a teacher and I'm not your mom. Respect is going to do first. Homework is done. Right?
Yeah.
You have homework? Yes. Okay. And then what I find that does, it push them more. And I bring him, he see my son Isaiah playing soccer, and he's like, I want to go to this high school. I want to be like your son. And we bring the amusement park, and he's like, I've never been to it. I would love to go on those rides. So simple thing. And that quasi is like 50, 20 minutes away from where I am, right? But those children that live 20 minutes away from amusement park have never been there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Right. Then when he come here, and then it hurts me to know that these children are going through so much, and they have a mom, right? Because it's a single parents household at home, and it's hard for her to do it because she has to work and function and trying to make sure that everything is there. And the kids go to school from 7 in the morning, and then they come right here. They're not here every day, but the days that they do here, I try to implement that positivity into them, that reassure them that they're not a product of their environment. Reassure, but if you guys could implement that in school to show these kids that, listen, I understand we're in the inner city. I understand we're in the Bronx. I understand there's a lot of peer pressure. I understand it. And show them you don't have to be a product of your environment. Show them, share your experience with them. You don't have to go into depth, right? But share certain things that, listen, this is how I was raised. This when I was growing up, this is this. Because I feel like when children feel like it come down to their level,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, when he was dressing up in button-up shirts and everything, it seemed like, okay, you know what, he's gonna be stern. But if you, when you dress down, then you find more kids will more come to you and more relatable to you, right? And when you go to their level, maybe you could be like, then that's when you find more children come to you and be like, you know what, you kids are not your environment. You're not a product of what the system trying to create you to be. You don't have to be in that prison pipeline. You don't have to be a young teenage mom. I haven't listened. The female know your work. When you see Cardi B talk about all this other stuff, you're not Cardi B. They create these music, and you guys follow. So that's it. Teachers, and I think if they bring back priors into school, the Bible. I'm not trying to put my religion in anything. It don't have to be the Bible. You could pray to Allah, whatever. Create that. It could be Buddha, but create that time when they come in the morning, and they have that time just to deflect, just to unwind, that meditation. If they have that room that they just meditate, that one instead of just coming and just rush the class, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have meditation. Right. They're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. You come in, we're gonna take 5 minutes to just meditate and reflect in ourselves within that 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I believe that if you guys could implement that in school, it would make a big difference. 5 minutes of just jazz music, because that's what I do with my kids. When they come, 5 minutes, we just play jazz. We just sit down, we listen to our inner peace. We sit there, we like, okay, I want you to listen to your thoughts. Like, I can't listen to my thoughts. I just want to play. I have a timer, and I create this bottle that you shake that different colors. And what I do, I said, you know what? This is what I want you to do. I want you to focus on that bottle. Like focus on that. all that glitter that goes up and that different glitter that goes down, and then unwind them from just a rough day at school, because they will come and tell me everything about the day, about the fight that day goes on in school. And I want you to unwind that. And then I will hit them with the homework, right?
Right.
And I'm just setting them up for something where they could, but I want them then I see it works better with the older kids and with the younger kids too. I see it works good with them where they will be ready for the homework. And that's when I realized that they cannot do second grade work.
Yeah, they're being passed along, and yeah, so matters when they get to high school. You know, it's and it doesn't get caught in time. You know what I mean? Or rather, like I've seen kids basically confide to us that they're struggling and they're having a hard time when they're in eighth grade on their way to high school. And at that point, it's never too late, but the challenge is there. Is where we're working backwards. And they have tutoring, stuff like that to help the kids after school. We have great after school programs, multiple after school programs available, stuff like that. But it has to be up to them to do it. A lot of the kids, when they come to our programs after school, they just want to play, you know, and that's okay. But when it comes to like homework or basic tutoring and stuff like that, it's always looked at as secondary stuff. They don't really want to do that, you know, and it just makes it harder. And then it goes back to the parents, you know what I mean? And, the ones who are really active, they call in, hey, my kid did homework today. Before the kid gets home, they'll call to check to see what was done, and what wasn't. I hate to say, but it always goes back to the parents. It
It
really
does. It does. It does.
it does.
I believe parents are the first educator, right? Because whatever you learn at home from 0 to 5 years old, that's the most crucial time of the child brain development, right? So one of the that okay, you say it goes back to the parent, but how do we bring those parents in? How do we get those parents that's not participating in their kids' life? How do we get them to participate more?
Bribery helps. You can have like luncheons. You can have like when they have the parent teacher conferences, we tend to bring a lot of food. We're known for that, and they'll come right in for the food. And then you kind of sit down with them and we set the mood and hit them with the good, and then get to the nitty gritty stuff like that. That helps. We have trips that we set up for the kids, and we invite the parents to come along to get to know the teacher, get to know, like be more involved, stuff like that. But we need more. You know what I mean? It's not perfect, but we need more.
If you had an option to say, okay, you know what, the state said, all right, you know what, Alex, here's the fund. We have the fund. What would you tell them to allocate the fund to? What would you tell them? How would you give them a visual of what you let them see through your eyes of how you would say, you know what, this is how I want you to allocate the fund. This is how I see if you do allocate the fund to this thing, this is how it would be.
I would definitely put more funding in the after school programs for sure. I would have like I would make it undeniable. You know what I mean? Give the kids what they want and give them what they need, and then hold them to it. A lot of the times you have funding available, but it gets taken away or relocated to something else. You know what I mean? Or you have a small program that needs like more support. So there's a program in play, but they need a little bit more added to it. I would definitely like seek out programs that are definitely making an impact and add more to them. You know what I mean? So they can support more kids, or because teachers that are more involved will get. I don't want to. It's hard to say because certain teachers do more than others. So I will reward those who go the hardest. You know what I mean? Like to like boost up morale, stuff like that. But definitely add more funding to the after school programs for sure.
Funding. Okay.
Yeah.
And what last but not least, because I know it's been we're trying to not to go too long. I don't want to hold you too long. I appreciate you coming here today. What for people that want to go in the same profession as you, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that it's a noble profession. I would tell them that you know Go into it with a clear understanding of what to expect. I would say if you're not from the inner city, there's a lot of the teachers coming from outside the city. I would say beware of culture shock. Understand the kids you're going to be working with because that helps a whole lot. Helps a whole lot. When you don't look like the kid you're working with, they perceive you differently, and vice versa. So I would say create an understanding with that. I would say always understand that it starts with the parents, and if you're in a challenging situation, you got to look at it from the kid's point of view. You know what I mean? Always. There's kids that I think you said it before. They don't eat. They don't take baths at night. They got adult problems as kids. When they're asked to come in and sit down and learn. And they got so many outside situations going on. I would say always be mindful of that. You know, just come into it with an open heart. Rather than just seeing it as a paycheck. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
If you're getting it at the paycheck, then you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. You're not going to be able to see what's going on. You have to
Yeah,
go
it becomes 9 to 5. You just punch in, punch out. Passionate teachers are needed. Passion.
to the people with passion. Be
Yeah.
passionate about you doing what your work is. If you're not from the city, get to know the city. We more welcoming than you think it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Understand our kids, right? Treat these children as if they're your own, right?
Yes.
I know they have a lot of things to say that, oh, these children, just the same way you think your children have a challenging day, just like you have a challenges day. The kids I look at them, and many adults, right? They're many adults. They have good and bad days. So try to understand these kids as much as you possibly can. If you can't, professional development. I think that they should put more into the for teachers for more for professional development. Be the voice for those children, right? When you see the good in that child, be that voice for them, not only for that one, but for all the kids, right? And then, Alex, thank you for being here today. Child Care Challenges podcast. I will follow up with you. Hopefully, we could dive into another topic and more in with the topic. I really enjoyed this today,
Pleasure. It was a pleasure.
and thank you today. And you have a blessed Sunday.
You too. You as well. Have a good one.
You too.